and welcome to the Irish Arsenal Gunner podcast. It's Tuesday, the 20th of September. I'm your host, as you all know at this stage, Jonathan Giles. A few new guests to the show this week. Ian Gunnery, which we had on last week. How are you, Ian?
Doing good, John. Doing good.
The second coming. Craig Smith, who was on couple of weeks ago as well. How are you, Craig?
All good, Johnny. Thanks for having me.
Carl Ozzy Osborne, without the rocker here. How are you, Carl?
All good, mate. Thank you for having me back on.
Thanks for coming back on to us. And the return of the Mac. Brandon Boyle, after a good few months out. How are you, Brandon?
All good, thanks. All good, Johnny.
Cheers for coming on. And we've no John or Eamon this week, so no bald heads to look at, thank God. And Martin's getting pissed somewhere in Vienna, so he'll be getting the link to this somewhere wherever he is. I hope you're listening, Martin.
Hard life.
It was Martin's birthday, by the way, lads, as we mentioned on Saturday, so I'm sure he's having a good time. I'll go straight to last week's stats, and we had a good week with Ian being on his debut. It was 108 views, so it was up 7 on the previous week, 6 likes, and 885 subscribers, which was up 18 on last week. So we're touching that 1,000 mark. Hopefully we're hoping by December, which I think is realistic. You can catch our show, of course, on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and on Instagram, where Martin Stunville will be always adding posts about the club and all. And he does it, I have to say, he does a great job promoting this podcast. Clubgolf.co.uk is our first sponsor as well. So it's great to have them on. They do retro edit polo tops, the Bruised Banana one, which he had up last week. So we thank clubgolf.co.uk for that as well. Enter Dublin Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount as well if you're interested in buying anything. Also like to give a shout out as well. Cam made a comment on our show last week on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. He says, first time listening, well done, lads. So thanks for that comment, Cam. We've no answer to last week's question. It was named the 2 Arsenal goal scorers in the 2-1 home victory last season at the Emirates last February. The answers were, lads, Emile Smith Rowe and Bukayo Saka.
I tried to block that fixture out of my memory.
That was a 2-1 victory. It wasn't a defeat. But we'll give out the question, this week's question, I suppose, early. I should get it out of the way now. Name Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer. And the winner gets a Dublin Arsenal fan pack. As well as that, if anyone, to our listeners and to any new listeners, if you can leave any comments like Cam did last week, we'll throw you in for a Dublin Arsenal fan pack as well. And just leave your details, and Mark will send stuff out to you there. Because, any feedback is greatly welcome. I think we all agree to enhance the show, lads. On this week's show, we'll be reviewing our 3-0 away success to Brentford. Ian will be talking about the WSL games, won't you, Ian?
I will indeed, yeah.
Maybe our first fixture actually for the women's was the victory over Brighton, and he'd be telling us about Ajax are playing at the moment. Carl, what's the score at the moment?
1-1 at the moment. Waiting for
Who was the goal scorer for the Arsenal?
Now you got me. I don't.
The preparation that goes into this show is.
I know. Move on to your next question. I'll get it for
you. Of course, it's been a tough 7 days. I suppose emotionally for a lot of people in the UK with the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Of course, our fixture that got cancelled, the Everton fixture. I'll go to you, Carl, since you live in the UK. What's it been like over there?
Yeah, an emotional day yesterday, I think, for for a lot of people. A lot of people just glued to their TV sets, to be honest. Yeah, it was. I think they, what we saw on TV was something, history being made in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And done and proud. Yeah. So yeah, proud day. But yeah. Sad as well, same time.
Yeah, the longest serving monarch, 70 years, incredible. And Arsenal Centre sent a good tribute to her there last week on Arsenal.com. To our match review, which was the 3-0 away success against Brentford. Another much welcome results, leaves us top of 18 points, a point clear of Man City and Spurs, who lie in second and third. Goals by Saliba, Jesus, and a force for Fabio Vieira, who's really fitting in quite well into the squad. The force was Saliba, who outjumped Tony at the near post from Saka's corner. Saka beautifully crossed for Jesus, the birdie's header past Raya. And then 4 minutes in the second half, Fabio Vieira hit a wonderful strike from at least 20-25 yards out and just came off the post and in. I thought he was brilliant on Sunday alongside Saka in midfield. And Saka and Jesus had very worked well shots, saved by Ray as well. Brentford never really threatened us at all. I thought we controlled the game beautifully. And such a drastic turn from the opening day of the season last year, where we got just mauled 2-0. But look, the only survivor was Ben White of that game, and you can see the difference. 12 months on, completely different Arsenal. Top of the league. The only downturn is the international break coming up with our momentum building, but hopefully we come through on that unscathed injury-wise, and we can build for the North London Derby on October 1st. Also a shout out to Eaton and Weary, the first. Becomes the youngest ever Premier League player, 15 years old, which is being 38 quite depressing. Probably worse for Brendan. And bring Brendan in, I suppose, since it's your comeback.
His great grandfather.
What were you doing at 15, Brendan?
I was waiting for my call up.
Like us
I'm
all.
still waiting for my call up. I'm not giving up yet. I think Stanley Matthews played till he was 56, so I've got 2 years left.
I tell you, you're probably way fitter than some of them, Brendan, in fairness to you. Since it's your first show back, Brendan, it's nice to have you back on again.
Thank you.
What was your take on the 3-0 away success to Brentford?
Well, I was delighted with it, and as you touched on, we controlled it from start to finish. They put us under no pressure at all, really. They had a couple of chances. It was great that we came out of the block so quickly and silenced that crowd, because, as we know from last year, how partisan they can be and how noisy they were cheering them on. And they've got a very good home record, to be honest. Even like last year, I think the commentators were touching on it. I think Liverpool and City. Well, I think they drew with Liverpool and City, won by one goal, and obviously they turned over United there a few weeks ago, massively. So to comprehensively put them to bed like that, and really we should have scored more, was really impressive. And we were head and shoulders above them in every part of the field, as far as I could see, and absolutely delighted. And it's nice to get that win under our belts after what happened at United. Even though we played well at United, a few errors probably did us good, and I think that might have refocused them to get on to the next lot of games. So yeah, over the moon.
The difference as well, Partey made with Saka in midfield, it allowed Fabio Vieira to have a good game.
Especially in the second half. Yeah, I thought Partey in the first half, I thought he was quiet, but the second half, I thought he was imperious, is the only way to describe him. Amazing. Really, really good.
We really didn't let Brentford get to us, and I think when you stop Tony and Mbuemo, you stop Brentford. You could see that, and I think the week's break, to be honest, gave us. We were fresh-legged, and we were up from it from the start. And from the very first game, what I've noticed with us, is from the Crystal Palace, how quick we start from the blocks. We get straight at the opposition and don't let them time to settle into their game plan. And it's really worked, apart from obviously the United game, and you could see he really worked on the training ground with that, and we came out all guns and the tour clean sheet.
Yeah, one of the things that we always seem to have an issue with was the early kickoffs, and that's completely been put to bed.
Yeah.
With
another early
Arteta. Early kickoffs were a disaster. So and now that's not really even spoken about. And I think for the last couple of seasons, you could see what Arsenal were going to turn up in the first 10 minutes. Now they're 100 miles an hour, and you're excited to see what they're doing in the first 10 minutes because they've pretty much destroyed everybody from the kickoff. Even United, they were well on top. So
it's a very strong 11 we have at the moment, and even when players get injured now, even the replacements are quite strong. Yeah, it's great to have two players nearly in every position. That's as
bit
high
more meat
quality.
on the bones.
Yeah, exactly, Brandon. What we were lacking last season. Yeah, Ozzy, definitely a game. Opening after the defeat on the opening day last season, you could see from the players walking out of the tunnel that they wanted this. They wanted revenge in this game, and they gave really a good performance, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Brendan summed it up really. But that response to United game, I was quite worried about how he's going to respond to that game because we played so well at Old Trafford and then come away with nothing. And I know we had Zurich in between, but it's a completely different side playing that day. So how we responded is a big game for us. And Brentford away is a banana skin waiting to happen. And the way we set out the game, the way we played, it was almost, draw a line under it, move on from a United match. And I just feel like we're prepared. When you say about the early kickoffs, we just seem prepared for everyone now, and the game plan seems to be adapted to whoever we're playing. We just seem to be planning for the way we shut down Ivan Toney, who, let's be honest, is a tricky player. He's going to be absolutely high on confidence because he's just been called up for the first time for England. He was there to show what he was about against us, and Gabriel and Saliba did not give him a sniff of goal. Really, they dealt with. He is a tricky player to play against. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing him in an Arsenal shirt one day. But I thought the back four were excellent and what they thrown at us, and it was all, like I say, that control. I think it started from the back to the top end of the pitch. I thought Kieran Tierney had a great game. I thought he started to. I think his form, it's been a bit. I think he's been unfit at the start of the season, but he's certainly coming into his own now. But yeah, you said about Partey and Xhaka. It's just so effortless with Partey, isn't it? When he comes in, he's just always showing for the ball, which takes that pressure off the defence. And I think that transition from defence to attack is just brilliant. But for me, the standout, I thought Granit Xhaka was brilliant again.
Absolutely.
And that pass is so underrated for that header, that Jesus goal. That pass that he put in there was, if anyone else had been doing it in Premier League, we'd be talking about it for weeks. I know Garth Crooks. I'm going to shout out to Garth Crooks actually. He's playing him, but Garth can stick there somewhere else and don't shine that comment because he's turned the corner for me, and I'll hold my hands up. I didn't want him at our club a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And he's turned a corner, and I tell you what, he's consistently been one of the better players for us this season. And yeah, fair play to him. He deserves all the credit. And I've kind of just said my man of the match there, and that would be certainly my man of the match for that game. So yeah, and just go squad depth before we move on. But Vieira coming in for Odegaard, it shows our squad depth. I'm sorry we only paid 34 million for him, but he's one of those players, He's coming. He's got a bit of flair, and he looks great against Zurich. And I can only see him being one of our future stars as well. No doubt. He just slotted in there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
He's such desired now, Zach, because he got back there in the second half and made a last ditch tackle in the box, and you can see, he got a silly yellow card, but that's just customary for Saka to do stupid things. But it was from a quick kick out, wasn't it, from Raya? But his heart's in the right place again, and I think he's actually really enjoying his football again under Arteta. And we seem to have got the masters out of Arsenal, haven't we? we seem to have a good team bond now, which I haven't seen in many a season. There's such a togetherness with all the players.
Yeah, for Shaki, you nailed on the head there, actually. He got that silly yellow card. It was a silly yellow card. We agree with that.
Yeah.
But how he composed himself after that just shows me a player he's grown under Arteta. And he's still only 28. Like,
that's
the veteran. You know what I mean? So,
that is true.
Well, I think he felt he was carrying the team before a little bit, whereas now he's got other people that will take on that mantle. So doesn't have to be.
I think in terms of Xhaka playing further up the pitch this season, I think it actually benefits him because I feel like he felt like he had to do everything where he was kind of further in the defense, and it didn't suit him because he's a hothead player, as we all know, and I think you're just going into the danger zone too much when you're too far back. Whereas when you're playing up high, you're getting a different side to Xhaka. And like I always one thing about Xhaka, like I'm not Xhaka's biggest fan at the best of times. I'll put my hands up and say that, but I think we can all safely say it annoyed us big time when we seen how he played for us, and he'd be a hothead and the things he said to the fans when he was captain at the time. And there's been bad moments as well as good moments. But one thing I've always questioned is how does he play so great for Switzerland, and he plays out of his skin, and then he comes plays for us, and he's a completely different player. And I think we've just found the answer, and that is like he was being played in the wrong position. I think it suits him to the ground to play up where he's playing at the moment, and I think he's more creative, and he's also like he's getting less yellow cards. Yes, he does get the odd stupid yellow card, but I feel his overall gameplay is a lot better, and he looks a happier player as well.
Yeah, I think the captaincy being taken off him as well has kind of eased a bit of a burden on him as well, and he can enjoy his football as well. I suppose Vieira Durdine as well, since he came in there. What did you make of the performance on Sunday?
I thought it was a great performance. We definitely owed it to Brentford to kind of, I suppose, cancel off the demons of that horrible start to the Premier League last season. And I think, I mean, if you've seen what Ivan Toney had said in his tweet after that game before as a stroll in the park, I mean, and then you've seen Arteta showing that to the players in the documentary. So, I mean, that like as a player, if that was me, that would hurt me. I wouldn't want to be considered like more or less like useless as a player. Like, you know, so I think like we owed a big time to kind of cancel off the demons as such. But I mean, we talked about the squad depth there as well. I would nearly say, in addition to the squad depth that we have this season, I'd say the mentality is there too. Like, I mean, you look at the results we've got already. I mean, going away to Crystal Palace on an opening game under the lights, is not easy. Look at how they've played against Liverpool, and you know, very very unlucky not to get something against Man City. You know, so I mean, look at Brentford then beating United 4-0, and we made it look quite comfortable. You know, so I mean, there's definitely a mentality there that they're like they want to play for each other, and I think the one thing as well is like you look at like last year you'd say you take Odegaard out, you take the likes of Zinchenko out, and you're panicking and you're kind of thinking where's the next player going to slot in here, but I think what you can see there is they all kind of sing off the same hymn sheet in a way that like Fabio Vieira, you'd swear he was playing all season. Do you know that kind of way? And
he set it so quickly,
in there, and then like I mean, that shows confidence to take the goal that he took. I mean, what a goal! Absolutely superb. And I think as well, it takes the pressure off Jesus massively, because I think a lot of the reason Aubameyang kind of threw his toys out of the pram last season was he kind of felt like he had to do it all on his own. Where I think now you have a team that we don't need to have a striker that scores 25 plus goals. Don't get me wrong, I'd be absolutely delighted to have that, but I think it's being shared among the players, and I think that's better because you want to have like a fluidity among the players, and like you want it to be the case that if one person drops out, the other person is just as confident to kind of take the place. And I think that's what we're seeing. Like, I mean, that's the reason. Like when we concede, we're scoring nearly like 5-10 minutes afterwards, and I think that just shows the heart that's in there this season. I think like we were very, very unlucky against United. I think like if we started off quite well, but I think there's different areas where I think we get into the point where we get complacent a little bit from nerves, and I think we do the simple when we do the simple stuff right, we actually do a lot better than trying to do something that is just not our style. I think we try to copy our opponent's style sometimes. Like it's like when we're playing Man City, we try to be the fast players and we try to be running down the wings. You can't do that against them because they're just gonna catch you in the counter attack every time. I think we learned that against Brentford in comparison to the first game. I think that was the difference where when we were 3-0 up, yeah, we could have gone and got 4 or 5, but we didn't need to. Like in trying to get 4 or 5, we could have been caught on the break, you know, because Ivan Toney has got pace and he did get his chances. Like, you know, he was lucky in a few different chances. It could have been a different game, but I think we just done the simple things right, and I think that's positive.
Yeah, I thought Gabriel and Saliba done quite well to tame Tony. Yeah, the only real note was the free kick where he chipped up and hit over the bar, wasn't it? And it wasn't anywhere really there. Yeah, I can't remember many chances Brentford had, and that the comparison to last August when it was the first game of the season, they were always going to be up for it. But I thought the difference really for me this season has been Jesus, the way he's drove defenders ragged. Ayer and Janssen didn't get a minute's piece with him, and he could have had probably a hat-trick. In fairness, he took good chances in the second half. But I suppose, Craig, after Brentford destroying United 4-0, and they had Tom's leads then just before the break there, it was 5-2, I think it was, at home, and that's their heaviest home defeat of them in the Premier League in their 2 seasons. That was a great result for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a brilliant result. I was actually quite concerned going to the game. Obviously, because they beat us last year. But I think, like you said, there was one change earlier on. I think it's actually 4 in the team from the game last year. But yeah, you know, last year there was a lot of youngsters in the team, and we weren't prepared because of COVID and everything affected us. I think the game of the weekend, I think we were very good. I just think the whole side played very well. I think from the back to the strikers, we were brilliant. I think Saliba played a very good game. Just the way he let strikers come to him and he passed the ball at the last second. It's just brilliant. You know, it beats their press. I know Tony tried to press him a lot when he had the ball, but every time he came towards him, he just knocked it to White or Gabriel. I thought he had a great game. Like it's not an easy place to go to Brentford. You know, like you said, they beat United 4-0. They were very good that game. Their press that game was amazing. And then they also played well against Leeds. I think the week before us, I think they beat them 5-2.
5-2, yeah.
You know, and Leeds are a good pressing side themselves. You know, JC Marsh has them, pressing well. So I think looking back at the game, I watched the game earlier on again. I think they kind of set back off us a little bit. I think they didn't want to press us as much because they knew that we could beat the press.
Yeah.
But whenever our centre halves had the ball, the 2 strikers tried to press them, but they couldn't get anywhere near the ball. I thought Xhaka had a great game. Like all the lads were saying there, I wouldn't be Xhaka's biggest fan. Never really have been. I just think he's let us down so many times before. I think it was the Crystal Palace, the Burnley game. I think it was last year, the year before, where he headbutted or grabbed Josh Brown. How was it? He threw him to the floor, you know. And I think we might have drawn that game or lost that game 1-0 against Burnley at home, you know. And that was kind of the last straw for me. But he is a great player, you know. Like Ian was saying, he's amazing for Switzerland. You know, he's Switzerland's best player. Always in the World Cups and the Euros, he always does well for them. So I think the position he's playing now suits him. I think in the past he was kind of the last man and the last kind of line of defence. So whenever they were attacking, he was chasing back, and he had to kind of commit the foul or take the yellow card to stop the attack, you know, going towards their goal. So I think that the responsibility he has now is a lot better than what he has before. So maybe we're going to see a new jacket this year. Who knows? But yeah, I thought Fabio Vieira played very well. You didn't even notice that Odegaard was out of the team. That's probably the biggest compliment to Vieira.
Yeah.
21, 20-year-old, whatever age he is, coming from the Portuguese league. wouldn't be an easy start to kind of, to play against Brentford away. So I thought he played very well, took his goal brilliantly. And then Jesus' second goal, that header. It's
What a
not
header.
easy,
Yeah.
He's some neck muscles.
Yeah, he's
I find it crazy that the three Gabriels aren't in the Brazil squad. Now I don't know what's going on there. I think I heard that he wants to watch all the Brazilian players before the last kind of squad before the World Cup to get a good look at everyone. But I'd be shocked if Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Magalhães aren't in the squads. I don't think Martinelli will get in, but no, I was delighted with the win and onwards and upwards.
Yeah. We're spoiled for choice, really, aren't we? Like Stephen the players on loan, Tavares and Balogun are having good seasons at the moment as well. So it's a great headache for Arteta to have, but it's really all down to him and his coaching team as well. He's got us so fit and all, and a lot fitter than even under Emery and Wenger's days. They're really hungry, aren't they? Like it's such a difference to last season, and I don't think we lose as many games as we did last season either.
No, I think we'd be able to grind results out this year. I just think the first 11, the first kind of 14 we have are very good, but I am concerned if we do get 3 or 4 injuries, how will it affect us? Or how much it might affect the performance. I think we've a good 14, 15, but past that, I think we could struggle. But
we're a bare bones already.
Yeah.
I think Edu, though, in fairness to him, he's been quite good with our transfer business to date. And if we do need in January, I think there will be replacements, or additions even lined up. I think there's a clear plan in place, transfer window wise, lads. Between summer and January, but more so for summertime. The summer transfer window seems that's when you do most of your business. I suppose let's go to your man of the matches. I suppose I'd probably give mine to Jesus, the way he ran the defence ragged, but in my eyes, everyone really stood out for me. But if I was giving it to anyone, it would have been Jesus. Craig, your man of the match.
Man of the match. Yeah, probably have to give it to Xhaka, don't you? I think he kind of ran the game, and the assist with the second goal, I think, was brilliant. So I've been critical of him in the past, so I think I have to give it to Xhaka, definitely. Yeah.
Ian.
I kind of have to agree, really. I can't really fault him. Even okay, yeah, he got the yellow cards that to me could have been avoided, but I think just for the overall play that he had, the setup of the goal for Jesus, and just the overall, I think running back, defending, doing everything that he can, really. I think he was outstanding, so I think he was my man on watch.
Ozzy, I think you've said this already. Granit Xhaka as well.
Granit Xhaka has to be, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yes. And Brendan?
Yeah, I'm a clean sweep on Granit Xhaka as well.
I hope you're listening, Gabriel. You're in my man of the match. If it's any consolation to you, but no, Xhaka. Yeah, I think, to be honest, Fabio Vieira probably would have been a close second. He started his Arsenal career so well. Two in a big games, and it's like Ian said, it's like he's been there for all of his career to date. How quickly players have grown into the team, which is quite which has impressed me. Zinchenko, Jesus, and even last summer signings, Ramsdale and Ben White and co. Just amazing work by Arteta all around. It's pretty similar to what Guardiola does with new signings. He makes them feel at home, and they're just happy to play football. A smile on their face, which I haven't seen in a while, and it's long may it continue. And that leaves us top with 18 points, going into the international break.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you notice on Sunday how Sky Sports kept making excuses for Brentford not winning? It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Don Goodman, for the whole game, didn't praise Arsenal. He said how the Brentford crowd weren't up for it.
Yeah.
How the team's death affected the crowds, and how Arsenal are only winning because of no atmosphere. It's crazy, like.
They never got near the ball. Yeah, they never got near the ball. The loudest they were was in the 70th minute, and that was in recognition of the Queen. And that's
Yeah.
when they did actually play a bit of ball. And after that minute, that was the end of it. But
It's a
yeah,
pity
look,
James
it probably
Garner weren't going to celebrate with us.
it was an emotional weekend, and it's been emotional probably 2 weeks really, as Carl said in the UK. Like it probably does play in the mindset of the English-based players, anyway. Not so much the foreign players. You could see it doesn't have the same connection.
I
But
think you can look at that and say that when they're making such silly excuses like that, that's nearly a compliment to Arsenal, because I mean that's the level that they have to go to try and have something negative to say about Arsenal this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's very rare now that you have any of the papers or any of the media saying, "Oh, like Arteta's under pressure, or this is under pressure." Like, it's all about Chelsea, it's all about Leicester. Where
yeah,
I'd say papers must be running out of business. Do you know that kind of way? Like,
The media don't trust Arsenal. The media are waiting for us to fall, so they're waiting for us to lose against Spurs, Liverpool. To say, "I told you so." But I tell you
Yeah.
one thing: if Arsenal beat Spurs and Liverpool the next 2 games,
yeah,
geez, like,
that will shut them up. Yeah,
we will, because you
yeah,
haven't got any recognition at all. If it was
yeah.
Tottenham or Liverpool or United force now, Sky Sports and all the media be all over it. Because it's Arsenal, we expect it to fall away.
But
I
they're
think
hoping that will fall away.
if we beat Liverpool and we beat Spurs, there'll be another funeral. It'll be Sky Sports.
Yeah. There's a busy October, lads. Moving on from the Brentford victory, leaves as top I said. There's Spurs at home, Liverpool at home, Leeds away. I don't know. I assume the Man City game be probably somewhere in November, will it? I assume.
It's saying it could possibly be May
Can't
now.
fit it in.
It's
May?
April or May. It could be,
May.
because they need to put in the Everton game. Don't forget as well.
Oh yeah, the
So,
Everton game as well. Yeah.
the Everton
May.
game probably is going to be slotted into around March or April, because the PSV game has also been thrown in early. So, I mean, it's snakes and ladders really which way it goes. But they said that I think they said the Everton game is going to be played around March or April, and then the City game could be played, I think, the first or second week in May. So God knows what that's going to be. Could come May, because we've seen the disaster at Tottenham last season. So I hate to think what that's going to be like.
Imagine that's a straight shootout for the title. What a match!
It is.
Oh,
Two legs.
Or that could be Arteta out at that stage.
I doubt it.
So frustrating. Yeah, so look, October. Look, Spurs, Liverpool, Leeds. They're three tricky games, and if we overcome them, which 7 points, I'll be happy enough with out of that. Southampton, Forest, and then you've got Bodo Glimt home and away and PSV home and away. That's a very crammed fixture list. I don't know why the PSV game, it could have went ahead last Thursday. You could have done it in memory. I think playing these games in memory of zone is better than not having them on. Do you agree?
I think it was resources, though, wasn't it? Because
They should have flipped it. Should have flipped it, played it over there.
Yeah,
flipped it. Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, true point, actually. Yeah.
The only issues you got with that is travel, haven't you? You got people who've already booked hotels, flights.
But as someone based here, that's not something they usually care too much about.
No, true.
Yeah.
I suppose you have to look at it as well and say, like, I mean, we could get lucky. Like, I mean, nothing's ever given in football, but like, we've Bodo Glimt home and away. So I mean, if you take into account, if we get 6 points there, or even 4, like, you'll have the group relatively wrapped up before the PSV game anyway. So it doesn't really mean then like that you have to play all your star players then in that game.
Yeah.
If you know that you kind of have things already wrapped up, it's a game that you can kind of just take the foot off the gas, really. So it's not like, I mean, it's not. It'll only affect us depending how the other games go. Do you know, that kind of way?
I think if you top the group, you go through to the last 16.
Yeah,
you do.
So you've only 4 rounds to the final. Do you know,
that's a massive boost as well, because you don't have it. You actually, if you go into the round of 16, I was looking at the dates out of curiosity. It will help us with trying to reschedule matches big time as well, because if you don't play a European match till March,
March,
Yeah, so you have January, February, and pretty much half of March to try put those rescheduled games in and around there. Like,
Yeah.
So to be, and then you've got there's another international break, I think, in the end of March normally as well. Yeah.
Johnny, Lee got back to me and said, yeah, no problem.
Oh, lovely. Where is he
So-
based, by the way? Is it the UK?
Yeah.
UK, yeah. He's
Can you give some information, Craig, on Lee Judges to the listeners, who he is, etc.?
Yeah, Lee, I met him a couple of times at the Arsenal games. He used to be a regular on Arsenal Fan TV, and he's a good lad. So he's going to come onto the channel. Just talking to him today. So we'll see if he can come on next week or the week after. I'm sure Johnny and all the lads will be good. Happy to have him.
Yeah, and Katie McCabe, I don't want you to step aside, but Lee Judges has got in ahead of you. But we'd be glad to have yourself on. Being an Irish legend, and of course an Arsenal legend as well. So I'm sure she listens every week. What else would you be doing on a Tuesday evening?
Champions League.
So you won't get 5 better looking lads on a Tuesday night. I tell you, at 9 o'clock in an autumn night. That's for sure.
You just need Cilla Black on here, and you were laughing.
So frustrating, Deirdre. Well, that brings me nicely on to this week's quiz question. Lee Judges and Katie McCabe, you can answer this if you like. Dublin Arsenal Fan Pack in it for you. Name Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer. It's a pretty easy one, I'm sure, for all Arsenal fans. But there's an Arsenal Fan Pack for anyone that answers it. So not the first answer, for anyone that answers, except for ourselves, of course.
Now.
Yeah, actually, you can go under a different eye if you want, and bag yourself a beautiful fan pack. I think Martin's tongue is in it from the birdie he had on Saturday. Not soiled and damaged, I hope.
Definitely bruised banana.
Something's bruised anyway. Hopefully no children are listening at this hour. This is a completely bad-free podcast. I'd just like to mention as well, Mikel Arteta, manager of the month for August, lads. A complete contrast to last August, where he was nearly going to be sacked in the morning, as away teams said. Brendan, since your first show back in a while, that's great for Mikel, isn't it? Manager of the month, and long may he continue.
Well, absolutely, and he's played such a big part in, obviously, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well. And I've been going to Arsenal for a very long time.
Yeah,
and I've never seen a connection with the team and the crowd ever, and that includes Highbury. It goes up to the Invincibles. There was never such a connection, I don't believe. The place is absolutely rocking. Anyone that's been there this season, at the end of last season, and Arteta has bought into that, and a lot of it is him pushing things like getting the anthem up there and stuff like that, and the players. Yeah, it's just a massive feel-good factor. Even when we weren't doing as well, I think the all-or-nothing thing has helped. But you could have imagined that there would have been a bit of disappointment with not getting Champions League last year. But I don't think that's that's made any difference whatsoever. It's just brought everybody on, and as I say, the place is absolutely hopping all the time, and it's been mentioned on the TV. And as I say, long may it last, and I think it will. There's a real connection with the team, and the team seems to have a connection with the crowd. Even the Xhaka, you go back to Xhaka again, the crowd are singing his name. He's talking about it. Even Vieira and Martinelli were talking about it afterwards. There seems to be songs for all the players.
Yeah.
And they of course, they're just human. They like that as well. So it's a great thing to see. And bit of success, feel good factor. It's just going to build and build and build. Delighted with it.
You were mentioning there's songs for every player now for the Arsenal. I say 15-year-old eating and weirdly even as when he's got school in the morning. He was only on for a minute to be able to have a chat.
Yeah, double maths this morning.
I could see Pontus Janssen wanted to boot him up the arse, but then when you heard that, he kind of backed off. Yeah, Ozzy, great for Mikel Arteta, isn't it? Manager of the month, and what a turnaround from last season.
You know, he survived the curse of the manager of the month, didn't he, as well? 'Cause
Yeah.
normally you go on to lose the next game straight after that. You know, Arteta, I've been a fan of his, and I've not, you know, I'll give him time, and I think that's all we need to do. But trust the process that used to go out. I was sold on it. I really was, and I've been very lucky. But my first 2 years as season ticket holder has been under Arteta. And I've seen something develop, like Brendan saying, he's been going years for Arsenal, but you know, I went quite a lot before, but I've never. The atmosphere is just unbelievable. The noise when we score those goals is something I've never heard before. But what I love about him is he brings in the right players. I think he had so much deadwood in that team, and the Arsenal players, aren't they? They're players that want to play for the Arsenal. And you just got to look at Saliba for when the start of the season, how he is now. He came out and gave an interview, I think, the last 24 hours, saying that he loves the club. He feels like he's at home. He's making the right judgments. And you know, in the summer, he was talking about wanting to stay at Marseille. We've got our Arsenal back, and Arteta recognises what it's about to play. You've only got to go on a stadium tour to see the messages written around. So some people don't like that, but I love going around the dressing room, seeing the statements that he'd written all over the, you know, they've got loads of like sort of inspiring statements, play for the shirt and who you're playing for, and you know, just real inspiring comments. And he's brought back what it means to play for Arsenal. And then you can see that in every player he brings in. He's not just picking a player based on skill. He's looking at the character. He's looking at the type of person they are, and that shows in the team. And it really does. And I'll say the reason why the likes of these Fabio Vieira are coming in and starting off so well is because he's got the right type of player in there. He's not sulking, sitting on the bench. He's not going to be happy sitting on the bench, but when he's got his chance, he's going to grab it with two hands. And now Odegaard's got to fight his way back in. Same with Kieran Tierney. I think he's having to fight his way back into that side now.
Big time, yeah. And I think you find it hard when Zinchenko gets fit again, won't he?
Well, yeah, but he's playing great. But that's what you want, isn't it? You want them to not be guaranteed a place next week. And I think there was a big period of Arsenal the last few years where if you was half decent, you'd get in. And it sounds bad, but you know, people like Aubameyang weren't put under pressure, were they?
No.
Yeah. And, he's weeded out the players, in fairness to him, for being such a young coach. And it's a gamble for Arteta, who's unproven as a manager, but to weed out players like Aubameyang, who doesn't follow, you know, the Arsenal way, it's given players the warning, you know, this is the way it is, and that's it, you know. And you can see players are following the book, following, you know, the Arsenal way, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you play for the jersey. Yeah, you play for the jersey.
Look at what Hassan Hootel said about Maitland-Niles as well. Like Maitland-Niles was fantastic player.
Yeah,
bad attitude, I think, and obviously he's gone to Southampton and he's been pulled up on it straight away. It's not, you know, you've got to do more work off the ball, not just be all sexy on the ball. So, and that's, you know, and like Arteta has got, as you're saying, has got rid of an awful lot of deadwood, and they're nearly all his players now. So
they are. Yeah,
and this is what we want to see.
I know I mentioned on the WhatsApp group, we watch that Inside Hale End documentary on YouTube.
It's very
I
good.
recommend any Arsenal fan to watch it because it's fantastic. It's a fantastic documentary, but it just shows you like Adam Birchall and I think it's something Lennon. I can't remember his first name, but he's recruiting players in. They're recruiting players at a young age that have that characteristic about them. They have to play for the Arsenal. It was like skill, like, you know, physique that can be worked on, but they have to have that champion sort of the Arsenal spirit. So that's coming through the club now, and it's just great to see. And like I say, the young 15-year-old that's, you know, you can pronounce his name better than I can, Jonathan. There you go. But he shows that, doesn't he? If you're good enough, you get a chance at Arsenal, and that's what we want. That's what we want. The message we want to be going to these young players. So,
and these young players coming through, I mentioned it as well earlier on, Nanweary and even Balogun, they're built like men now, aren't they? Like they're kids, but they're built like they're ready for that next step. Where it's just amazing what they're doing at youth level, and with Jack Wilshere, of course, the under-18s, isn't it the under-18s manager? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I was trying to find the 15-year-old on the bench so I couldn't see him because he
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, they look like men. Yeah, it's just incredible. Victoria, Concordia, Crescent, victory through harmony, and we're really showing that over the last. I think our pre-season though really helped us this season kicking on. We had such a strong pre-season. We got the signings in early, as Eamon Donnelly said on numerous occasions on the show, and you can see they're just gelling when you get signings in early. They gel. And they've a winning mentality, Zinchenko and Jesus, coming from Guardiola as well, and that helps as well.
I don't think we get them signings without Arteta. I don't think we get Zinchenko to Jesus if Arteta's up there,
Spot on.
Like, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of down Arteta when we went through that 10-game run where it was 7 losses. I think it was 2 draws and 1 win. I did want him to leave, I just didn't think he could as a manager, but he's turned it around. Look at us now, the team we have at the moment is great. I still think we're 2 to 3 players short of being the full package.
Yeah.
But
Everyone agree.
Do you think we can win the league? I don't personally think we can win the league.
I think we're a season or two out, in my opinion. I think I think if Arteta's given the time, and if they do works in with the transfers, I think we're not far off. We're building the squad better than Man United. We're well ahead of United, and I think, being honest with you, I think Liverpool are touching their peak with that 11. I think Liverpool are struggling now under Klopp. I think it'd be between us and Man City over the next couple of seasons if we get our transfer business right in the next window or two. I don't know. What do you think, Ian?
I think like a big thing this season, which is going to be a massive decider. This is going to be a freak season. I can tell you that for like this season reminds me of the season that Leicester won the league.
Yeah,
and people were laughing that saying Leicester will never win the league. It's not. They're going to drop off. It's never going to happen. What are you smoking? And it's the type of thing that, look, stranger things have happened. You don't know what way players' fitness are going to come back after the World Cup. You don't know what injuries they're going to be. If Arsenal are in the top 3, going into the World Cup, I think we've a massive chance to try at least challenge for the title. Why not? We've proven the games that we've done it this season, and you'll be going into if you'll be going into after the World Cup, you'll be going into the January window. So we know exactly the areas we need to improve on. And if a player is looking at a team that's constantly growing, you're kind of challenging up there for the top places. It's going to be a lot easier to get these players.
Yeah.
No one in the right minds is going to be looking at the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool at the moment. Yes, don't get me wrong, fantastic football clubs and great history and all, but you need to look at where they are at this current point in time, and they're not in a particularly great place. So I think if I was to go with my heart, I think we definitely will challenge for the title. If I was to go with my head, I think we should comfortably be getting top 4.
Yeah, you'd assume it'd be great to get back in the Champions League again. Yeah, I think that being a name in itself was probably at the start of the season by the board to get back in the top 4. They probably never thought. To be, I suppose, hand on heart, lads, the first 8 fixtures aside from United, you'd assume that we would have won. We should be beating them. So I think. I was listening to Liam Brady yesterday, Craig. Know that the stand, but with Eamon Dunphy, that podcast.
Yeah.
He was saying if we come through, as Ian was saying earlier, if we come through Tottenham, Liverpool, and Leeds, teams will stand up and look at us as serious contenders. And with that, if you go into that World Cup, you go into that World Cup top and with a bit of a lead in front of you. You could kind of start dreaming. Could this be? Because we were the only team to beat Leicester home and away during that freak season, and very few remember that. And how we didn't win that season, it was fucking in our. Sanchez was on fucking form that year, and just
if we're top from the World Cup or in 3 or 4 points to City, and January comes around, you'd hope to think that Eddie will get 1 or 2 in for
Yeah.
to actually challenge them, you know. But
Yeah.
I just think they're just such a good squad, City, you know, and
Yeah.
2 or 3 injuries doesn't really affect them. Apart if Haaland gets injured now, you never know. You know, they don't really have a
That's what we need to happen, mate. That's what we need to happen. That guy's
Yeah.
You know, the thing as well, there with Norway not in the World Cup, he's just going to be fresh. You know, he's going to be fresh to kick on again. But that's only him. The majority of the team, like ourselves, are in the World Cup. But look, what a great start to the season, lads, and maybe drink it in because it doesn't last very long being top. That wraps up the men for now for this week. I'm going to go to Ian, and he's been looking at the women's side of things in the Women's Super League. Ian, can you tell us about our open fixture there against Brighton?
Yeah, no, I definitely can. Just a quick one, actually. I've been following while we've been doing this this show just to see how the Ajax game is going along. And it's into, I think, the 84th minute at the moment, and it's 2-1 to the Arsenal at the moment. There was goals from Sten. We always get her name wrong, but Sten Blacksteinus. And then Kim Little has scored a penalty in the 57th minute.
I don't know how delayed your stream is, mate, but it's going for Desmond at the moment on my screen.
Yeah,
2-2 now, mate. Yeah.
I can imagine. But well, let's just think that we're winning. Right?
We're winning 2-1.
But yeah, so the Arsenal Brighton game in the league, the first league game of the season, they won 4-0, which is a great start to the season. Goals from Kim Little, Stan Blacksteinus, and 2 goals from Bet Meath. So yeah, I only kind of just seen brief highlights of it now. I didn't actually get to watch it live, but no, look, I think they're starting the season strongly again. I think Bet Meath is she does what she does best. To be fair, like it's been a rock for us. And I think you can see, like I know we said about the men's togetherness and the enjoyment of just playing football. I think you can see that with the women's team as well. I think you can see that they just enjoy playing their football and there's a togetherness there. And I think there's a massive game, of course, coming up next week in the North London Derby in the Emirates Stadium, which is great for the women's team to kind of get that proper full atmosphere. As we said, like the writing that's all around the stadium of what it means to be an Arsenal player. And I think like it shows that there's a togetherness there, I suppose, because a lot of the time the women's team and the men's team kind of like had separate identities, I suppose, in a way, where they're trying to, I suppose, all come under the same bracket, and it's great in one sense because you need to have they need to be given the same opportunities. I mean that's what women's football has been crying out for, and I think we've seen that with the World Cup or the Euros, I should say, sorry, when England won the Euros, and I think you can see that it's made a lot of the English players a lot better, and I definitely think that it's a good start to the season for the Arsenal women's team, and I think you can see it progressing, which is a good thing. I mean, like I wouldn't be the biggest fan of women's football, and that's being honest. It wouldn't be something that would be my cup of tea, but I definitely can see it's a lot more. It's getting a lot more views now and a lot more fans. I don't know what the fans' attendance was at the women's Euro match. I think it was the final was 70,000, 80,000. Yeah, so I mean that alone says just where women's football is going.
Haven't they sold about 40,000 tickets for the North London Derby?
Yeah,
I do believe so. Yeah,
if not more.
If
not more now.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
I think it's 46,000 now.
46,000.
Mm.
Oh, jeez.
I'm on a slow stream.
Along with our preview of the sports match next Tuesday, which will be on Saturday, October 4th, we're going to do a review at the start of the show of the women's. We're playing this weekend. Is that right, lads? Against Spurs in the Women's Super League.
Yeah,
we're playing Spurs on Saturday at 1:30. It's on BBC One.
Yeah, we'll be doing a review at the start of the show to give them a bit more exposure, and a review of tonight's game against Ajax as well on next week's show. And then with the men's North London Derby, I think it's only fair. So, Katie McCabe, if you're listening, the mic is yours for next week, or you can we have Ian there who's as good looking as yourself. So
I'll take that.
it was on of course the Late Show. How did you find your first outing on live TV?
The Late Show was great and all, but it's not this.
Brian Tuberty, step aside. Your job is on the line. If only I was 6 foot. No, but look, as Ian said, and I'm sure all you lads will agree, they never really got the same recognition until really the last year or two, really. And to be honest, the Arsenal women's team have been winning the league year in, year out, weren't they? They must have won that.
They were, yeah.
They won
the Champions League as well.
And the champion, yeah.
No.
And the players have gone through, even when the men's side were doing as poor, the dedication that the women give as well is just incredible. The fitness levels when I was watching that Euros was just incredible. The final and all, England done. You can see the English Premier League, the women's side, they're so fit, you know, they can outrun anyone, you know. So fair play to them. Leah Williamson is quite a player in Betmead as well. And our own Kate McCabe as well, a household name in England and Ireland. And you can only wish them, you know, the best of luck over the season. I'm sure they'll come close to winning the league as well. And Ian will be covering that over the season as well, if you're into that, Ian.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think like another good thing as well, I've noticed about the women's team, is great in all as they're doing. They're very supportive with the men's team as well.
Yeah,
like you do see a lot of them like in the club kind of level watching the games, and cheering the guys on as well, which is great to see. Like you can see that there's a togetherness there, and I know Ramsdale and the likes of Ben White are big ones for watching the women's as well. Like they do be watching the games there as well, you know. So I mean, like you can see there's definitely like a togetherness there, which you want to see, but you can see they're just happy to be there. You know, which I mean, like you can have all the skill in the world, but as Aubameyang proved, when he wasn't happy where he wasn't the same player. So like being happy when you're playing football is a massive thing as well.
But yeah, I think as well, men and women professionals at Arsenal, it's such a family atmosphere at Arsenal. It's different to any other Premier League club, isn't it? Like there's just that even with fans, it'll be 20 years now forward since we won the Premier League, but the fans like ourselves, we've stuck together, you know, through thick and thin, you know.
Only mind a little bit.
We've aged so much, Brendan and Carl. We've only got 2 young chicks beside us tonight, but I've aged about 30 years watching them since 04. I broke my heart when that Invincible team broke up, and I think my liver will call out that as well. Yeah, look, it's just brilliant to see the women as well getting the same recognition as men, because look, it's an equal opportunity sport now, thank God, and Ian will be covering our Women's Super League coverage as well. We move on to I'm going to bring in Karen on this. We were talking about this before we came on the show, and Brendan would know this player as well. Paul Davis. He brought out a book there, Arsenal and After. He made between 1980 and 1995. He played 447 times for Arsenal, scoring 37 goals. I think David O'Leary is still the record appearance holder, isn't he, at Arsenal, which is incredible. Carl, you were mentioning the book earlier.
Yeah, he's recently brought an autobiography out, and I think he's done a book signing at the Tollington. Yeah, there's a good cheers in for that. Look at that.
Right on cue,
my glamorous assistant from the Late Show. But yeah, no, you know what? Paul Davis was a player I watched growing up, and when I started supporting Arsenal, Paul Davis in that team, I just remember him being colossal in midfield, and he wasn't for me a frills player, but he was some player that I looked at. I played centre midfield myself as well, so watching a player like him, he was just it's fantastic. He was a
Great
fantastic
left
player.
foot.
Yeah, and he's just, you see his autobiography come out, and I just give a nod to him, because I know that David Dean brings one out a couple of weeks later, and he kind of gets all the headlines. And I think Paul, I'm really looking forward to listen. I've got the audio book for both, and I'm gonna go through both. But yeah, Paul Davis, what a player he was. When I look back at those years when he was playing for us, for me and Brendan, I dare say you've got to see him in person.
Yeah. Well, I started going in the 80s, and obviously the success started around 87.
Yeah.
When George Graham came, and like Paul Davis played it. What did you say, all the way through to 95? So he's got 87. You go 89, then you go up to the cups, and you've got 91, then you got 93. So it was a very successful time that he was in there. And one of the crazy things is he never played for England. Like I think he played a lot of under 21s and stuff like that, but he played in a really successful side and didn't really get the recognition. And I think obviously the punch on Glenn Cockrell, I think put a big black mark against his name, and that's probably why he wasn't, he didn't get any international recognition, I'd say. But yeah, great player for Arsenal. So really pleasure to watch him.
Yeah.
What was your standout memory of him, Brendan? Was there a moment where you say, "Well, what a player"?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to think what it was. I think it was it maybe 93. I think he'd been out of the team. I think he was out injured for nearly the whole season, and he came back for the cup finals at the end. And then basically 94 Copenhagen, he was immense. And that was a really weakened side. To be fair, you had like Stephen Morrow and Ian Selly in midfield with him, and and some of the Parma players were immense as well. Like it was a really good Parma side, and he could battle with the best of them. And he was only a slight sort of player. He wasn't a big stocky lad or anything. So, but had that little bit of class about him. So
he was very close. I remember watching that from Broccoli to the Big Time, that documentary with David Rocastle. He was very close to David, wasn't he? During that 89 winning season, they were very close to each other. Him,
probably from the same area. I'm not 100% sure where he's from, but I think he is a Londoner, isn't he? So
yeah, he is.
Yeah. What was your favourite? What was your standout memory, Ozzy, of him?
See, it's funny you mentioned the Parma final, because that was when. Do you know when you properly fall in love with a club? That my old man's an Arsenal fan. He has been for years, but I remember absolutely losing it when Smudger put that goal in, because we were a depleted side. Everyone was sort of playing us down in that game, wasn't we? I think they had Brolin and Asprilla. And you say the likes. Yeah. Oh, they were a fantastic side. They were unbeatable, weren't they? We were the underdogs. And I remember when Smudger hit that, was it left foot off the post? That was the first time I properly lost it as an Arsenal fan. If I'd have been there,
you should have been in the stands with us.
I was too young. I remember being. I can't remember exactly how old I was. Blimey, I was probably 11 actually. So but it was. It was that was one of my key moments when you've chosen the right club. I don't think my dad would let me support anyone else anyway, but that was it was that's my standout. That sort of era, that team, the two Sheffield Wednesdays for League Cups, and '92 wasn't it around then as well. So they're sort of like my earliest sort of memories of really being an Arsenal fan, and Paul Davis was part of that. I had a poster of him on my wall. I was just like, because I play centre midfield as well. I just you stick to the players you like, don't you? Play similar to, he didn't play similar to me. I was terrible, but I tried.
There's still time.
There's still time. Look, if I was on Championship Manager now and I'd be deleted from the database. That's the way I look at it. I'm well past it.
Too good to put the years. Too good for the years.
I'd be a regen. Playing for Stevenage under 16s if I was on Championship Manager now.
You needed Arsene Wenger for his fitness tips.
I think even for the beard and the hair side alone, Ozzy, I would have picked you in midfield. You would have played the opposition.
Just for the look.
No, what a player! Look, he I suppose after his career, he's done really very little, hasn't he? He's very really on even as a pundit, isn't he? And it'd be nice to see him being given a chance on Arsenal TV. Because I know Craig was saying Jeremy Ali had a year now has been a pundit, hasn't he, on Arsenal TV for a few seasons and all.
Yeah, I think he's been on it for a few years now. Yeah, I think he does the pre-match and after
You were
games.
saying you were chatting to him, Craig. Is that right? You were saying?
Yeah, I met him at the Emirates a few years ago, so I followed him on Instagram and kind of kept in touch with him since then. So I'll drop him a message and see if he'll come on the podcast. It'd be great to have him on. So see what happens.
Aside from having a great missus, you're more than welcome, Jeremy. I know Celtic fans were gutted when you left. It wasn't for your silky skills, Henry. So, God, I hope you're not listening to that and you don't want to come on. Another subscriber gone.
We can just edit it out. It's fine.
Yeah. We've got our own late show, guest Henry. So step aside, Jeremy. And if you're on Tinder, please swipe right on in as well, because we're no there.
I'm off the market.
So the seagulls say as well.
Thank God. I still have PTSD.
I'll have PTSD if we don't win the fucking league soon. It's been a traumatic. You can catch all the matches in the River Bar, of course, in Dublin City Centre. That's the official pub of the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club. I know Carl was saying hopefully in the new year. You were saying hopefully for, was it the sports match you were hoping for to come over? Was it the away match?
January, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I'll definitely try and make it over. I'm going to try and make it over for it. It looks great. I've already stalked it on Instagram. It looks a good old place to go, and there's always a good trip to Dublin, right? So yeah, it'll be a few days, not just the match, the business trip.
We'll have the Guinness on standby.
Oh, mate, I look forward to it. Honestly, I really do. We'll try and get an away game because obviously I'll try and go to all the home games. So yeah, when we've got a big away game, I'll get over at some point for an important business trip.
You'll definitely get off the plane sober, Carl, but getting back on it could be another issue. So give your boss plenty of notice. You could be gone for a while.
If you don't travel home by wheelbarrow, you haven't lived.
Aside from that, lads, is there anything Arsenal related that you've heard over the last week or so you mentioned before?
A little stat I read earlier today in relation to Gabriel Jesus's yellow card. The yellow cards that he's actually stacking up at the moment. He said 4 yellow cards in 7 games for Arsenal. He had 1 yellow card in 28 games for Manchester City last season.
Yeah.
Are we being refereed the same?
Yeah.
That's
what was the headline, I think,
I think with that, I remember saying that, and you need to take into account with that, is he getting the same amount of minutes with us as he was with City? I don't think he was. And that's a massive part to play in it as well. He was a rotation player for City because, most players are. Let's face it. I mean, it's very hard unless you're a Haaland to be getting 90 minutes every single match.
Yeah.
And I think with Jesus, he was getting 45, 50 minutes if he was lucky. And that's not for being a bad player. As we can see firsthand, he's a fantastic player. But when you're playing, it's
one of the things. Yeah, it's just one of the things you think about. You don't get many centre forwards getting yellow cards.
Yeah.
Unless you're a Diego Costa or somebody like that,
And he's got that bullish type about him, Brandon, hasn't he?
He's busy. He's around. He's like he's an irritation to defenders. But I don't think he's obviously not a dirty player. So
no.
Are you being ref? We're probably ref differently,
Yeah, big time.
It's Arsenal, it's an easy yellow card, so is that another factor? I really hope he doesn't get a yellow card in the Northern Derby because we would need him for that Liverpool game.
Look at that yellow card against Odegaard against Eriksen a couple of weeks back. That was ridiculous, disallowing that. That goal would have changed the game. 100%. The United were there for the taking if that was allowed. But look, we bounced back on Sunday, and that's the main thing, isn't it?
True.
I know. Before we end as well, final word to Craig. Lee Judges, as we said, fingers crossed. Will he come on? Do you think, Lee?
Yeah, I dropped him a message there earlier. So
did you mention the Dublin
on.
Arsenal Fan Pack to him?
he
has
said
to
it
get
comes
the
on,
question
so
right.
hopefully he can come on Tuesday.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It'd be great to have him
Good
on.
to have him, yeah.
We're at 885 subscribers, and I'm sure with Lee coming on board, we'll be at 1,000 subscribers. And there's
And
Gabrielle
me, Jonathan, and me being back.
sorry, sacked in the morning. I heard in the background. One appearance only. Sorry, Brandon and Lee. That's our
like
fame.
15-year-old.
When we hit
That's
1,000
me gone now.
subscribers, we will. There's a chance for you to get the Gabrielle Martinelli jersey, as well. I hope we get that signed by Martin himself, as he said last week. It's definitely worth getting 1,000 to get any Arsenal jersey. Is nice, isn't it? And when it's free, it's even better. I'd like to thank this week's guest. We've had a busy show, lads. I'd like to thank this week's guest, Ian Gunnery. Thanks, Ian.
My pleasure. My pleasure as always.
Carl Ozzy Osborne, taking time out from his heavy metal gigs. Definitely the better looking half and the most sober I've seen in a long time. Craig Lee Judges Smith, thank you. And Brandon, I'm back. Boyle, thank you for coming on.
You're
you can
welcome.
catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal on Instagram, on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel, and thanks to our sponsor clubgolf.co.uk. Check out their Bruce Banana gear, it's really good. Dub Arsenal 10 for a 10% discount. And until next week, have a good week and up the Arsenal. Thanks, lads.
Yeah, that's
Cheers.
Lads.